What I've been able to do with the with the COVID, with dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
After that debate and the fallout, I think it's clear to everybody that Biden is going to be gone from the race very soon. The media's already turned on him. All of the Democrats have either subtly or very obviously said that Biden needs to leave the race, and the money's already gone. So Biden is going to have to leave the race. So what is the situation as far as who's going to be replacing him? Well, basically all the delegates are Biden people, right? Chosen by the Biden campaign to be his delegates. So those are the people who have the power to actually nominate someone at the convention. There's an extremely short runway, right? You only have from whenever Biden officially drops out or around August when they're actually nominated until November. So very short window to put together a national campaign. For most of these people who, even if you're politically savvy, you may know the names of the potential candidates, but for the most part, they're not nationally extremely well known like Trump and Biden are. And there's another issue. There's very serious domestic and foreign issues that if Biden's senility wasn't the main controversy right now, all of the domestic issues with immigration and the border and crime and everything else going on, and the international issues, 2, possibly 3 hot wars going on right now. And so there's a lot of issues going on that if his senility wasn't the main topic, would be the main topic that Democrats would need to be defending. So Harris is the obvious choice, vice president. She would get the campaign cash everyone's talking about. He's got $250 million that he's raised, that he has right now in his war chest, and should be able to use that. She's the only one who would actually be able to directly use it. Ballot access, that's something that not everyone's talking about, but if someone else besides Biden tries to get on the ticket for Democrats, they are going to be sued nonstop in every single state that especially the really important swing states. They're going to be sued, and they're going to have to go in and defend the election challenge for each state. And I'm not sure, there are a lot of states with all kinds of different election laws state by state, and so you'll need experts in each. It's going to take a lot of cash, and it's going to take a lot of expertise that they're going to need to focus on, where they could be focusing on the actual campaign, and they might not even get ballot access in every one of the states. But Kamala probably would, because she's already on the ticket with Biden. So she actually probably would have a much easier chance at getting ballot access everywhere and limiting the amount of time that she's going to need to spend on lawsuits and dealing with the courts to be able to get the ballot access. Media darling once again. That's what Kamala is going to be. She's been the media darling, and they've tried to make her the nominee several times. And every time it seems like the media loves her and people don't. But it's going to happen again. There's going to be the revisionist history, and Kamala is going to be the media darling. As soon as they know that she's the only opportunity to beat Trump, they're going to be fawning all over her, and that's what you should be able to expect. And then the campaign infrastructure. So most of the other candidates may be able to use some of Biden's campaign structure on some level. There's all this structure in place, and if it doesn't go to somebody, then it's completely wasted. There's consultants, and there's people on the ground, and all kinds of structure already in place. But the Kamala is the one who's going to be best suited to just step into Joe Biden's campaign infrastructure shoes and sort of use the campaign infrastructure that he's already created in a sort of seamless way. The staff are already integrated together and already know each other and already work together. So that makes the most sense. But who is Kamala Harris? How good will she be under pressure? Let's see.
When we talk about the children of the community, they are children of the community. Talking about the significance of the passage of time. right? The significance of the passage of time. So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time.
We got to take this stuff seriously as you are, because you have been forced to have to take it seriously.
You need to get to go and need to be able to get where you need to go to do the work and get home.
Certain issues are just settled.
Clearly we're not.
No, that's right. And that's why I do believe that we are living, sadly, in real unsettled times.
I hope that clarifies the issue, and this can be the last word on those words.
Besides Kamala, who are the Democrats' options? The ones that everyone's really talking about are Gavin Newsom, governor of California, and Gretchen Whitmer, governor of Michigan, right? Governors, it's going to be an easier transition from a state executive position to a federal executive position, right? They've got the argument of they've already run a state, and in the case of Gretchen Whitmer, Michigan's a really important swing state to be able to win, so you can win the presidency. And for Gavin Newsom, California is just an extremely strong Democratic stronghold, so he's got sort of a lot of Democrats behind him, a lot of money behind him. And also, when it gets to the convention, there's going to be a lot of delegates that, are pledged to Biden, but are from California, right? Michigan also obviously has a handful of delegates, but California is going to have more. And so either way, both of them, are they really running, or are they playing what I'll call the Chris Christie strategy, where just like in 2012, Chris Christie pretended to want to help Mitt Romney defeat Obama, but in reality, he didn't actually want to help defeat Obama. He didn't want an incumbent, a Republican, 4 years later when he actually did want to run. So he wanted to actually pretend to help Mitt Romney while actually undermining him. And that became really obvious with the sort of hug scene around the world or whatever between him and Obama after Hurricane Sandy hit. And that pretty much hit the rest of his opportunities for national Republican office, like a national Republican office. But I think that will be the strategy that Whitmer and Newsom are actually playing.
I wanted to hear from you as to what's going on, with working people here in Ohio.
So who is the only real challenge for Kamala and this year? Well, I think it's got to be Bernie Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders is already pretty old, and it's important that weakness that Bernie has, that he's already old, is pretty much exactly the weakness, sort of, that's kicking Biden out, right? It's more senility with Biden, but in all the polls they say he's too old to run. Well, in reality, the economy is too senile to run, but that's the word that they always use, old. And if anyone in politics looks old, it's Bernie Sanders. So he can't wait anymore. He's got to go now. He knows that. He knows that's going to be the huge issue. If he wants to be president, this is his last real opportunity. And right now, he's already got campaign infrastructure, right? Because he ran a long primary campaign, and he's already got a lot of people who were in his primary campaign who stayed loyal to him over these years. And he's got infrastructure like a skeletal infrastructure that he could reconstruct relatively quickly, quicker than basically anybody else. And there are a lot of people who are very passionate Bernie Sanders supporters who thought that he's gotten screwed over several times already by the Democrat Party, and that would be really excited to try and push Bernie Sanders to the top of the ticket this time. And Bernie has always represented the most passionate parts of the Democratic Party, but right now he definitely falls in line and represents what is an extremely already passionate part of the Democratic Party and outspoken. And even before any of this happened, there were going to be riots or huge protests, at least at the convention. And now there's going to be tons of protests at the convention, even more than there would have been before. And all of that energy is going to also dovetail right behind Bernie Sanders. Everyone's going to know that within the convention, because to get to the damn convention, they're going to have to go through those protests, and they're going to see the energy that's behind it, and they'll probably try and just do the first ballot, get Kamala nominated, and try and move on, but they're going to have to listen to quite a bit of outrage if that is the case, and they're going to know that that is going to be the case. Here's my official prediction. Within about a week, maybe two, Biden will eventually resign, and he'll endorse Kamala, and I think he'll resign both from the race and from the presidency and endorse Kamala. She'll be the first female president, and then they're going to try and juice her campaign as much as possible. All the delegates are going to, probably in advance of the convention, declare that they are going to be voting for Kamala to try and tamp down any dissent. But at the same time, I see Bernie Sanders starting to launch his campaign. As soon as Biden officially gets out of the race, I see Gavin Newsom and Gretchen Whitmer and all the others just endorse her and get out of the way, and it's going to be a two-horse race with all the delegates almost pledging Kamala immediately, and Bernie Sanders having on his side the passion of the Democrats and all of the protesters and rioters. And one of the biggest issues is going to be something the Democrats absolutely wanted to avoid, which was the Gaza-Israel war right now. And if Kamala becomes the commander-in-chief, she already owns a lot of the policies that Biden had because she was the vice president, but then she will be the president, presiding over the Gaza-Israel war, and there's going to be even more passion from the protesters trying to force her hand on that issue. And the party infrastructure that's going to be pushing her forwards, they are much more on the side of helping Israel out than the Gaza terrorists. And the protesters are much more on the other side of that issue. And so she's going to be in front of a rock and a hard place. And Bernie Sanders is going to be full throttle on the side of the Gaza protesters. He's not going to have to two-step. He is going to be able to just firmly and passionately state his case. He's going to want to debate. He's going to want to push to get this nomination. And it's going to be a very chaotic time before this debate. And I think that Bernie Sanders has already stepped aside several times because the Democrat establishment has told him to. And my guess is this time he's going to push the envelope and finally force it to be his turn if he can. And we'll see. I cannot wait.